Yo, what's up, guys? I hate to admit it, but I had a change of heart. I went and read the Shiunji Family. Basically, it's a manga by the same author who created Rent a Girlfriend. If you don't know what it is, kind of like the quintessential quintuplets a little bit, where there's like 5 love interests and there's one guy, kind of similar in that, and we just go day to day and see their stuff, right? But yeah, this is going to be the first chapter review of it, chapter 50 of the Shiunji Family. So basically from the last chapters, like we had a little mini arc with Seiha. I mean, to me, Seiha is probably like the best love interest in my opinion, at least. I just like her character design the most out of everyone. But yeah, if we're gonna be honest, it's probably gonna be Oka that wins. This chapter, it was focused more on Banri, and I really like that. Like basically for Banri's character, we don't really get all too much. She's pretty secretive. It's just nice to see that she's actually getting some screen time in the story. Because yeah, we had like Kotono, Minami, Oka, and then now we just had Seiha and the last girl, Banri. We're starting to go through the motions with her. For most of the other characters except Seiha, we had like multiple mini arcs with them. I've really started to enjoy the series now that we just started to like introduce all the different character tropes and everything into the series now. I feel like it's starting to get going, right? Before it was just kind of introduction and then we just focus on a few of the characters. But yeah, we start off the chapter. Banri's asking Arata to go on a date with her. To me, it seems like he doesn't really want to do it because every time it's just always some stupid timing kind of. Like he just feels like he's gonna get dragged around somewhere, but he decides to go anyways. So basically they're walking about the city and Banri's getting looks and whatever. During this time, we see Arata, he's just in his head, just thinking about how everything still seems the same with Banri, right? Because like with the other girls, like once they figured out that they weren't related, they started to switch up a little bit, but right now Arata feels like it kind of seems at ease because, you know, Banri hasn't switched up as well. Is like, you know, falling deeply in love with him. And then straight after that, we get the next page of Banri saying, let's go to a lingerie shop, right? And then Arata just gets all flustered, all crazy, like he's just like, oh, what is happening? Basically in here, he kind of just feels a little uncomfortable. I mean, who wouldn't? He's just like going lingerie shopping with his sister, so it's like, I don't know. But yeah, basically he just feels super uncomfortable. He wants to leave. And yeah, Banri goes and asks Arata which piece looks the best. And this gets him super embarrassed, right? He's like, don't ask me that question. But yeah, I mean, to me, like from what we've gotten so far in the story, it seems like Banri is like, you know, the like funny older sister, right? Always trying to tease Arata. She seems like a very well put together, you know, character. I think that's the design the author is going for. At least that's what I'm getting from it. So some time passes and Banri's still changing, trying on stuff. And Arata's getting a little impatient, right? Asking when they're gonna leave, like if she's done yet. And then randomly, Banri pulls Arata into the changing room and he starts freaking out, right? One of the workers there also notices that Arata's missing and is in the changing room, right? And they're asking what they're doing in there. Banri plays it off saying, oh yeah, we're siblings, so it's okay, right? Yeah, but basically ever since the girl started growing fond of Arata, he started becoming more of like self-conscious about being seen with them. Basically if they like leave their guard down a little bit, he kind of starts to get more flustered, a little more embarrassed. And we're seeing that here in this chapter a little bit. He's just starting to feel super uncomfortable now because it's like he's starting to see his bro, this is why I don't like this series, bro. This is why I really didn't want to read it, because like now he's starting to see his sisters as not family members, you know what I mean? So dude, I don't like that concept, bro. But other than that, like the character designs are pretty good, man, and it's like whatever, dude, whatever. We'll push through it. Basically, Banri just keeps asking Arata which one looks best, right? And then basically she eventually just chooses one, right? The whole time Arata is just super embarrassed. But yeah, they eventually leave. And then after they're done shopping, Banri says, oh, there's somewhere else that I want to go, right? Basically, they just go to like a little shop. I think it's a stationery shop. I'm not too sure. But Arata's like, oh, this is surprisingly wholesome. And yeah, Banri just starts to talk about like how she's taking care of the kids, like at her nursing practicals. So I guess she's like a little like caretaker for like younger children, I'm assuming in the hospital, but I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, we haven't really got too much of Banri's character, but yeah. We are getting some now, so that's always great. She basically just continues to talk about how the kids were just excited to draw tomorrow. So yeah, I guess they are at a stationery shop and she's just going and buying a few things for them to have. And yeah, Arata is just thinking this whole time. It's all, to me, it seems like a little comforting of a feeling that she's being like more serious and she's having fun, enjoying herself. And he's also just kind of relieved that he's not getting teased anymore. And then he also is thinking like, during times like these, she really does feel like my older sister. So once we leave this shop, they're just walking on the street, right? And they pass by a group of guys. And then one of them takes a notice of Banri and calls out to her, right? And then she responds back. And basically they spark up a little conversation saying, what are they doing out right now? And yeah, it's just like a little quick exchange. And then basically the group of guys just goes off and leaves. Arata didn't really know what was happening because he didn't really know any of those people. So he goes and asks, who was that? And then Banri says, oh, that was my boyfriend. And then this leaves Arata a little confused. Well, not confused, but just like surprised. And then he's like, oh, so you had one. But he's not saying it in like a way like, oh, you had a boyfriend. Okay, I hate this series, bro. I hate it. I can't even. I think he is just a little surprised because to him, the guy, like her boyfriend, seemed a little curt, right? What's his name? The Kyo-chan just seemed a little like distant, right? But Banri explains that he just doesn't really like being clingy out in public. And then they kind of just leave it at that. And then the last page of the chapter, we kind of just get Arata just thinking about, well, yeah, Banri's, always been super popular, but I guess he still didn't believe that she had a boyfriend or whatever for some reason. And then we get a little spillage of some rent-a-girlfriend mentality, Kazuya mentality in Arata's character. It's just like, bro, acting, he's just thinking devious thoughts. But yeah, basically his mind wanders a little bit and then he thinks back to Seiha, saying how she might be in love with him. But then he quickly gets his bearings back and then locks in, and the two of them just head home. Oh, and then also the last panel of the chapter was Kyo-chan, right, Banri's boyfriend, looking back at Banri. What that means, I'm not too sure. Also, an important thing to mention is from last chapter, we did get Banri talking on the phone with someone, and she seemed a little like concerned on the phone. That's making me think that she was talking to her boyfriend about something. I'm not too sure. Maybe they're having like a little falling out. Probably the most likely scenario. But I guess we'll see. Overall, this chapter was really good. We do get Banri character development and just kind of her introduction into the story, right? So far, she's kind of just been like out of it. Like every time she's in the story, she kind of just feels like the motherly character, and she's always like in the background. But now that we're getting like a little bit more, it's cool to see. I can't really form too many thoughts and opinions on her because I mean we just don't know that much. But yeah, I think her character development, her story is going to be pretty interesting. We're just gonna have to see how it plays out. And yeah, we're really early into the series, so it's kind of hard to predict what's gonna happen in the future. This time I have been looking like throughout some of the chapters to try to see if I can piece something together, like if we're gonna know who the chosen girl is gonna be before the end of the series is over. Because with quintessential quintuplets, right, maybe I was just stupid, I was oblivious, but I did not realize that, what's her name, Yotsuba, she was maybe the main character, or like main girl, because there were hints dropped throughout like that whole series, right? But I didn't know until the end. So I also read it, like I was reading it weekly, so that might have been part of it. I was just kind of reading it as just a chapter. But yeah, this series really reminds me of quintessential quintuplets and Goddess Cafe Terrace, if you read that. They're pretty good series, but it's like this one's a little different because the age gap of like the youngest girl and the oldest girl is pretty large. So yeah, it's just kind of hard to like really judge what's gonna happen with this series so far. If I had to make a prediction, I think Oka's just gonna win because she's literally the same age as Arata and they grew up together as super close siblings. That's my take on the series. As you can see, it's just a little weird because it's like family turned to lovers and it's just a whole jumbled up mess. But the series is popular and the characters, I feel like the character designs are pretty interesting. So I'm gonna keep reading it, keep giving my thoughts and opinions on it. But yeah, that's really about it.